Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is qualifying for race number 19 in the 2019 Chick-fil-A Cup Series. We are here at the Daytona International Speedway. It's the second Daytona race of the season. This weekend, the Valvoline 400, one of the classic Chick-fil-A Cup Series races. And we're here for uncharted qualifying. Top two fastest drivers will advance on and race in tomorrow night's 32-lap event here from Daytona. It's going to be a wild race, and I'm looking forward to see who gets it done. And I'm alongside Trey Wright. What is the strategy for these guys tomorrow night to get the race victory? It's going to be an interesting one because these guys are going to be bunched up. They're going to be really close to each other, and they're going to be passing pretty frequently on the racetrack. So what's the strategy to get the race victory tomorrow in the Valvoline 400?
Well, first things first is not to go four wide off of turn 4. Count every single time there's been a race at this track. Drivers still have not learned to go four wide off turn number 4. So once you get out of the way, number 2, stick to the inside lane. The outside lane, it's not as bad as Talladega where it just doesn't go anywhere, but the inside lane is still the preferred line. Number 3, get some drafting partners. If you don't have a drafting partner, you're going to go nowhere at this track. You get a couple guys together, tandem to the front, and you just might end up in victory lane.
And that will apply in this qualifying session as well. You want to have drafting partners in this session because you're going to be going much faster if you do. And here is Colton Yo and Daniel Voiles alongside each other. They're probably going to get some fast laps here, but Christian Russell, Angel Oliveira, and Zachary DeLello, Julio Cesar all by themselves. So might not work out too well for them, but these two guys, they might be the two guys who advance on to the Valvoline 400. We're going to have to see, of course, top two fastest guys in this uncharted session will advance on. And we'll have to see how it all plays out when we get to pole qualifying as well, because that'll be interesting with 42 drivers on the racetrack. But either way, these guys are going side by side. They are not helping each other at the moment. So we'll have to see if that affects their lap times or not, because they're not really going to get fast lap times if they're not drafting with one another at the stripe. They are going to clock in a little bit faster than Christian Russell. So right now it's Colton Yo and Daniel Voiles, the two fastest drivers on the racetrack. Angel Oliveira could not clock in faster time. 67 of Zachary DeLello is third fastest. And then Nick Smith in the 71, one of the last guys to complete a time. Julio Cesar in third. And Steven Thompson in the 97. Some of these guys are going to be racing tonight in the Rockstar Pro Series events. So guys like Steven Thompson, Zachary DeLello, they'll get that opportunity. Daniel Voiles as well.
And these guys, they might not look like they're drafting, but they are somewhat they're side drafting. So for those that don't know what side drafting is, basically you're dumping a ton of air on the car beside you and you're going faster. You're kind of getting a little side draft off of them, hence the term side drafting. So they aren't exactly going as fast as they could be while they were just front to back drafting, but they are going a fair bit faster than the rest of the field.
Julio Cesar, Nick Smith, now the two fastest guys, and I think they were right behind each other there, and that's going to help them. But Colton Yo, I think, got a little bit of a draft on Daniel Voiles, but they keep on battling there for that position while these guys going to stay along with each other here. And it's looking pretty good for Julio Cesar and Nick Smith to make it onto the Valvoline 400. Because they are helping each other right now. They got the two fastest times, and they had the fastest times like quite a bit on the rest of the field here, and does not look like these guys improved enough to get to Cesar or Smith. So it's looking pretty good for these guys. Of course, Zidell Motorsports looking to get their first ever win in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Julio Cesar started front row for the Daytona 500 earlier this year. I can't remember if it was for the pole or not. I don't think it was for the pole. But Julio Cesar definitely a very strong driver. And we'll have to see what he can do in this number 10 car, because it looks like he, along with Nick Smith, are going to be in tomorrow night's Valvoline 400.
Definitely. Their times are half a second off of everybody else, so with only 10 seconds remaining, they might add time for everybody else, but they're definitely looking like the most likely to be in tomorrow night's show.
So great job of these guys working together at the perfect time to get their fast times in. And it's looking pretty good for Nick Smith and Julio Cesar here in uncharted qualifying for the Valvoline 400. This is one of my favorite races to do every single year. Of course, It's a super speedway, but it's at Daytona Speedway physics, and that outside lane works pretty well at times. The inside, like Trey said, is still the preferred line here at Daytona, but if you're on the outside lane, you still have a really good chance at coming across the line in first position. So it's going to be a fun one. 32 laps of action tomorrow night, and I'm looking forward to see who gets it done in this year's Valvoline 400. Julio Caesar, Nick Smith here. Across the line once again. They might actually get a faster time this time around. They're not. I thought they would get a bit of a draft there on Zachary DeLello. They did not do that, but they're still the two fastest guys. And with the time as low as it is right now, these guys I don't think are going to be able to cross the line in time, and their times will not count because they did not start them before the reset of the clock. So, don't believe Voiles. I mean, Voiles is going to come down the pit lane anyway. He's going to be done, and Colton Yo will be as well. So Nick Smith and Julio Caesar are going to be in tomorrow night's show. They advance on in uncharted qualifying for the Valvoline 400 here from Daytona. They're going to join the other 40 full-time drivers to go for the pole here in the 19th race of the season in season number 8 of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. Don't go anywhere. Let's set the starting lineup for the Valvoline 400. And here we are at the Daytona International Speedway. We are going to set the starting lineup for tomorrow's Valvoline 400. And it doesn't really matter too much where you start in this race, but probably want a good starting position nonetheless. And here comes the Valvoline car. Matt Dalio, he's the guy who gave me the name of this race all the way back in 2014. And that is why Valvoline has been the sponsor of this event since the inception of the series. So thanks to Matt Delia once again for giving me the name. Of course, he drives the Valvoline Toyota, and he's the first driver out there on the racetrack in Valvoline 400 qualifying. So where is the ideal position to start for this 32-lap race? No pit stops in tomorrow night's race, so where do you want to start for tomorrow night's event?
Well, but since it's a super speedway event, I'd say you can probably start from either the pole or shotgun on the field, and you can still win. I mean, personally, I would like to start more towards the back because in the first couple of laps, guys are still going to get used to like the cars driving. I mean, we haven't raced at a super speedway in a handful of months, so there's not going to be. So everybody's going to still getting used to it, still getting used to the driving. Everybody's going to be kind of all over the place, if you know what I mean. So I'd say more towards the back, so you can, like you said, no pit stops, so you can slice through the field with ultimately the win, but maybe just a good top 5, top 10 finish.
And this is definitely going to be an interesting race when it comes towards the championship because Nathan Baird has really been putting it on this season. 58-point lead on Emily Anderson. Nobody can surpass him in the championship standings after this race from Daytona. But he's got to be careful because this is Daytona, and there's a very good chance that anybody could finish in the last position here. And Baird's got to be careful to not get caught up in an accident or something else like that because there's a good chance it could happen with the number 40 of Nathan Baird. Emily Anderson second in the points, 58 behind. Then you have Mark Davidson, 79 points behind. John Arndt, 87 points behind. And Justin Roberts, 90 points behind. But there is a very good chance, and I have a really, really huge feeling that it's going to close in the championship by the time we get to Homestead in September, because we got 10 races left and a lot can happen between now and the end of the season. Fastest guy in town, you're going to be happy about this one. Your guy, Justin Roberts, in the number 38, who's in that championship hunt, 5th in the championship standings coming into this thing.
Yeah, definitely. Roberts has definitely been more consistent than he has been. He did get that win back in Richmond, and that's probably what set this whole championship battle up. He's currently battling with all those guys in the top 5. And if I'm speaking of which, I'm looking at the results for the February Daytona race. The top 3 in points finished in the top 20 in the race, finishing 7th. Emily Anderson, P17, and Mark Davidson's P16. So these guys, they do know how to get the. I mean, they avoided all the carnage in that race, and Nathan Baird, obviously the big winner that day.
Well, the big winner that day was your guy Josh Marzak driving the number 34, but the big winner as of late has been Nathan Baird. He won the week after at Atlanta and then got the win at Dover. He's had at least 2 runner-ups since then, I think at Pocono and Road America, and those have both come in recent races. And even last week in that Crash Fest event, he wrecked his race car and still finished 12th. So he's really been doing a great job for the single car team of King Art Family Racing and then number 40 Machine. But like I said, still 10 races left to go and a couple of bad races out of Nathan Baird, and you're going to be seeing somebody else take that championship lead away from him. It's just the way it goes here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. But there is Josh Marzak, who won the Daytona 500 at the beginning of the season. And we're back to Daytona once again. All 3 of his Napa fan wins have come on super speedways, all in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. 2 of them in Season 5 and, of course, the Daytona 500 this year. But Marzak looking to get his 4th super speedway win of his career and his 4th Napa fan win of his career. It's going to be interesting to see what he does, as he is the defending Daytona winner in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series. What are the odds you give your driver of going back-to-back and sweeping Daytona in Season 8?
I'd say they're pretty good. I mean, he is literally the Gus Dean of super speedway races. Every single super speedway race he enters, he does well in. And speaking of American Motorsports, Nathan Stapleton, who has had a dismal season up until last week at Chicagoland, where he finished 3rd, I believe. He just got into 3rd position, so
he actually had the fastest time for a while there. But we got this massive pack right here, and he actually had to brake check as Patrick Smith was coming on the racetrack there. But the fastest guy right now is this guy, Trey Bartow. And he, along with Fisher G, have blisteringly fast times compared to the rest of the field. I think they actually caught up on the end of this pack and helped each other out at the in the process. And that's why, see, the differential between Bartow and Stapleton is half a second. So Bartow looking really strong right now in the number 4. Of course, he got the win at North Wilkesboro back in May. And right now he's looking to lead the field of the green flag tomorrow night in the Valvoline 400. He's got a good chance of doing so for Titan Fury Motorsports. But either way, the number 33 of Wyatt Quayle is now 3rd. Andrew Miller is 4th. And Silas Orta is in the 5th position. Let's see how it all goes down for these guys tomorrow night. It really doesn't matter where you start in this race, because you're going to have a lot of passing in this event tomorrow night. But still going to feel pretty good for Trey Bartow winning the pole if he could do so here tonight in Valvoline 400 qualifying.
Definitely. You win the pole, you actually not, the pressure's definitely not off. You still got to fend off 41 other guys. It's kind of a reassurance. You're the fastest guy in qualifying, fastest guy in the non-existent practice, so you're kind of walking around the garage area with that extra bounce in your step, as I believe Dale Earnhardt Jr. said a couple weekdays ago when we're recording this in Chicagoland. So definitely gives you a boost of confidence if you're able to get the pole here.
It definitely does. Stapleton, who he came close to Bartow's time, and you see how he drolled right into that big pack right there. That gave him a really fast time, but it was not enough to beat Bartow. But right now it's Bartow and Stapleton on the front row, with Patrick Smith and Fisher G in the second row. Wyatt Quayle, Andrew Miller, Silas Orta, Sebastian Coquelin, Lucas Jacobson, and Carter Friesen. Quite a few rookies starting in the top 10 for this race, and this race tends to favor rookie drivers. Somebody blowing up. That is Josh Marzak in the 34, and looks like we had a bit of a wreck, but like we've mentioned before, in qualifying, no matter what happens, the time that the driver puts on the leaderboard is the time that will stand for their pole qualifying time. So regardless if you wreck or not, if you got the fastest time, you're going to start on pole for the race. So really no need to review any accidents that happen in these qualifying sessions. But it's a good thing that we don't actually do this for the race, where these guys are coming in, coming out the pit lane. That's why we actually don't have pit stops here at Daytona. For one, it actually splits the pack up, and we don't particularly like it when that happens here at Daytona. And of course, we have that issue where they're coming on the pit lane and coming off the pit lane. It can be very dangerous, which is why we don't have pit stops. We've never had pit stops at Daytona or Talladega in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, and we should remain that way until the end of time. So don't have any plans of stopping that because it's worked out pretty well for all these races in the past, and we're looking forward to seeing how it all plays out tomorrow. It should be a great race. Had a great race last week at Chicagoland. Of course, Cody Sill got the race victory there. And what do you think that does to Cody Sill and his confidence? I mean, he's not going to win the championship, obviously. He's way too far behind in the championship to do so. But do you think that gives him another boost of confidence? Maybe get this win here tonight or tomorrow night at Daytona?
Definitely. Cody Sill, he has had quite the dismal season. I believe he was second or third last in points. So definitely not the season he was hoping for. But after that win in Chicago, he survived all the carnage that was thrown into him. Excuse me. And he ended up being in victory lane. So definitely should give him a boost of confidence to win this race, as Josh Marzak he's doing. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's going for another time.
I think he missed his pit stall or something because he went back around with the blown motor.
Yeah, I saw that overhand shot. So.
Not entirely sure what the deal is there. But either way, it's looking pretty solid right now for Trey Bartow as he holds the fastest time here in Valvoline 400 qualifying. And there he is in this pack right here. And I really don't think anyone's going to be able to beat his time because he got that time by drafting off of the pack ahead of him. And I don't think we're really going to see that before the end of the session. Of course, the time is officially out. These guys will be able to complete their laps, but if you start a lap at this point, you're not going to be able to finish it and make it count. So Trey Bartow in the number 4 is going to start on the pole for tomorrow night's Valvoline 432 laps of action from Daytona. It's going to be interesting to see what he does, but there's a good chance he probably won't win because all these guys are going to be passing and going for the gold here in the Valvoline 400 in 2019. Are you looking forward to the race tomorrow night, man? It's been a while since you've done a race with me. Pretty good race to come back on Napa Fan, isn't it?
Definitely. I know earlier in the season we did the 21-25s together, but something happened with the filing or something like that, so kind of didn't get to do that, but definitely been shaking off some of the commentating rust if you haven't noticed. Excuse me. And
That's
definitely
why we do qualifying. We're qualifying as commentators as well, so just bear with us. It's a good thing we do qualifying because not many people watch qualifying, so you know we can still do it and no one care. And then by the time we get to the race, we're top notch and we're ready to go for you guys. And I think Trey Bartow is pretty top notch here at Daytona. Pole position for the Valvoline 400 alongside Nathan Stapleton, Patrick Smith, Fisher G, Sebastian Kukulon, Mark Davidson, Wyatt Quayle, Andrew Miller, Justin Robertson, Jonathan Skivnicki. Our points leader, Nathan Baird, qualified in the 36th position. We'll have to see where he finishes tomorrow. Of course, like I said, it doesn't really matter where you start for this race, but that could affect the championship run for him in that number 40 machine. Of course, this race was actually won by team owner Richard Kingart last year, who was driving the number 47 in this race 1 year ago, so could be a good omen for Nathan Baird. It actually happened in Atlanta. Richard Kingart won Atlanta in season number 7, and Nathan Baird won that race. It might happen for Nathan Baird again tomorrow night. But either way, that's how they're going to line up for this event here tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Valvoline 400. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. And I do not believe we have any ties. So with that, that's how they're going to line up for tomorrow's 32-lap event here from Daytona. In less than an hour, we got some racing from Daytona. The Rockstar Pro Series hits it for the Florida 80K. Gonna be a fun one here from Daytona. Gonna be interesting to see who gets it done. Been a while since the Rockstar Pro Series has run, and we'll have to see if Justin Knight can get his 4th win of the season. Very possible. That'll be coming up here in less than an hour here on Napa Fan. But on behalf of Trey Wright, he'll be alongside me for the call of tomorrow's Valvoline 400. We're looking forward to it here from Daytona. Trey Bartow on the pole. I will see you guys later.